Imagine this: your eyes flutter open to the same white ceiling, the alarm's persistent chime cutting through the silence. You lie there, not because your limbs are heavy, but because your spirit is quiet. You simply cannot remember the why behind the what. You go through the motions, the commute, the tasks, the return, only to collapse back into those same sheets. You call it burnout, stress, or seasonal blues, but these are just labels for a deeper void. This isn't physical exhaustion, it is a loss of meaning. When the mind lacks a true north, it begins to turn on itself, eroding your vitality from the inside out. Today, we are looking into the mechanics of the soul. We will explore why exhaustion is merely a symptom and how your brain reacts when purpose vanishes. Stick with me, because once you see the hidden architecture of your own motivation, your entire world will begin to shift.
Here's the lie you were sold. You were told, if you're tired, rest. Take a vacation, sleep in, get off social media, and you'll feel better. And you tried. You took the vacation. You slept 10 hours. You disconnected. And you came back, just as empty. Maybe even worse. Because silence without meaning isn't peace. It's emptiness with good acoustics. Here's what destroys everything you thought you knew. The human brain doesn't run on energy, it runs on meaning. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived Nazi concentration camps, watched this with his own eyes. Physically destroyed people found the strength to keep going, and relatively healthy people died simply because they stopped seeing a reason to live, not because they ran out of calories, because they ran out of why. This isn't a metaphor. This is a mechanism. When the brain loses its sense of meaning, it literally switches into power-saving mode. Dopamine drops, motivation disappears, cognitive function deteriorates. The body interprets the absence of meaning as a threat to survival and starts conserving. You're not lazy. You're not broken. Your brain simply stopped understanding what it's spending its resources for. Here's how this works at the chemical level. Dopamine is not the pleasure hormone. Most people think it is, and that's the biggest misconception. Dopamine is the anticipation hormone. It doesn't get released when you receive something good. It gets released when your brain expects something good ahead. This is critically important to understand. When you have a real goal, not "I want to lose weight" or "I want to earn more money," but something connected to your values and who you actually are, the brain starts generating dopamine in anticipation of moving toward it. Every small step forward is a micro-release. That is the energy. Not coffee, not motivational videos. That. When there's no goal, the dopamine system goes quiet. So you lie there scrolling,
getting tiny hits from likes, from short videos, from the endless feed. But they don't accumulate. They don't build anything, because the brain understands there's no horizon behind this, no why. You're not resting when you scroll. You're anesthetizing yourself. The difference between rest and anesthesia is that rest restores you, while anesthesia just postpones the emptiness. When the anesthesia wears off, everything is still there, just a little heavier. Now, let's go deeper. Most people who say, "I'm exhausted," are actually going through an identity crisis. They don't know who they are if you strip away everything they do. Let me tell you about Anton. Anton works in finance, good income, looks successful, takes vacations in the Maldives, comes back, and feels the same emptiness. He thinks, maybe I need a different job, a different country, different relationships. But the real question he's afraid to ask is, who am I without all of this? The brain can't say directly, you're living someone else's life. Instead, it gives you symptoms: heaviness in the body, no desire to get out of bed, the feeling that everything is pointless, irritation with no cause, tears in the car listening to music alone. This isn't weakness. This is a signal. Your mind is more honest than you are. It already knows something is wrong. The question is whether you're ready to listen. There's another mechanism that destroys meaning, and one that almost nobody talks about honestly. Imagine, every morning you wake up, and the first thing you do is look at someone else's life, someone's career, someone's body, someone's family, someone's vacation, and the brain automatically launches the same process every single time. Where do I stand compared to them? Evolutionarily, this made sense. In a small group of 30 people, comparison helped you understand your place, your role, your status. It was useful. But now your group is 800 million people.
And among them, there will always be someone more attractive, wealthier, younger, and more successful than you. Always, without exception. The brain doesn't know this is an unfair game. It simply registers, I'm losing. And gradually, you start building your life not from the inside, but from the outside. Not from your own values, but from the fear of falling behind. Not from meaning, but from the fear of being not enough. You're exhausted because you're living by someone else's map, walking toward a destination you never chose, and you can't understand why your legs won't move. Here's where most people make a fatal mistake in their thinking. They believe meaning is something you need to find, like buried treasure, like a calling, like one big moment of revelation after which everything falls into place. They wait for years. Let me tell you about a study. Researchers looked at hospital janitors, people who clean wards, change bedding, dispose of waste. By all appearances, work without meaning. But a significant portion of them described it as deeply significant. Why? Because they didn't see themselves as cleaners. They saw themselves as part of the healing process, part of a team giving people a chance to survive. Same work, same salary, different frame, and a completely different quality of life. Meaning lives in interpretation, and interpretation is your choice. Meaning is not a state. It's not something you find once and hang on the wall like a diploma. It's a process. It emerges through action, through relationships, through contribution to something larger than yourself. Every single day, rebuilt from scratch. You won't find it by changing jobs or moving to a new city. You create it by deciding how to look at what's already here. Now let's talk about the body, because all of this isn't just philosophy, it's physiology. When a person loses meaning, the nervous system shifts into a state of chronic, low-grade threat.
Not acute stress, you'd notice that. A background anxiety you can barely hear. Cortisol slightly above normal. Immunity slightly below. Sleep is shallow. Digestion is off. Fatigue that doesn't lift after 8 hours in bed. The body is the most honest diagnostician. It cannot lie the way the mind can. There's a woman named Maria. She spent 3 years going to doctors with chronic back pain. Every test came back clean. Physical therapy helped for 2 weeks, then it came back. No one ever asked her, "Are you happy? Are you living the life you actually want to live?" Because her body had already been answering that question for years. Nobody was listening. Your body is telling you what your mind is afraid to admit. And here's the key point. You cannot heal the body while the problem at the level of meaning remains unsolved. You can take vitamins, go to the gym, meditate. That helps, partially. But if there's no direction inside, the body will keep running itself into the ground because it doesn't understand what it's recovering for. I know what's happening inside you right now. Maybe you recognized yourself in one of these descriptions, and alongside that recognition came something heavy, because awareness isn't always relief. Sometimes it hurts more than not knowing. You look back at the last few years and see how much of it passed on autopilot. That's painful. Let yourself feel it. But the fact that you can see it, that already matters. Most people don't see it. They live inside that tunnel for decades and call it a normal life. You're already here. You're already asking the question. And the question is the beginning. So what do you do? Not tomorrow, right now. First, stop calling it exhaustion. Name it correctly.
The right diagnosis is already half the cure. Tell yourself, I'm not tired. I've lost my direction, and that is solvable. Second, find one question and don't run from it.
Not what do I want to achieve, but what am I willing to suffer for? Not pleasure, not comfort, but what you're willing to carry the weight for. Third, start small, but start real. One action per day that comes from your values, not from someone else's expectations, not for the result, for the act itself. This is what coming back to yourself looks like. It's slow. It's uncomfortable. It takes courage, not the heroic kind, but the quiet kind. The courage to tell yourself the truth. You're not tired. You're lost. And that is good news, because exhaustion is cured by rest, but being lost is cured by choice. Make it, right now, for yourself.